Have you ever bought a bunch of perfectly yellow bananas, only to find brown spots appearing just a day or two later? It almost feels like bananas are racing against the clock. One day they're bright, firm, and sweet, and the next they're covered in freckles that quickly spread across the peel. But here's the surprising part. Those brown spots don't necessarily mean the banana has gone bad. In fact, they're the result of a fascinating natural process that's happening inside the fruit from the moment it's picked. So why do bananas seem to brown so much faster than other fruits, and is there anything you can do to slow it down? Let's find out, right here on History of Simple Things. Although many people associate bananas with tropical countries today, their story began thousands of years ago in Southeast Asia and Papua New Guinea, where wild bananas were first cultivated around 7,000 years ago. Unlike the bananas we eat today, those early varieties were filled with large, hard seeds. Over centuries, farmers selectively bred bananas into the seedless, sweeter fruit we know today. By the late 1800s, bananas had become a major global export thanks to improvements in refrigerated shipping. Today, the Cavendish banana dominates supermarket shelves around the world because it's productive, durable during transport, and has a flavor people enjoy. But one thing breeders haven't been able to eliminate is how quickly bananas ripen and eventually turn brown. The biggest reason bananas brown so quickly is because they're what scientists call a climacteric fruit. That means they continue ripening even after they're harvested. Unlike strawberries or grapes, bananas don't stop maturing once they're picked. The key player is a natural plant hormone called ethylene gas. As bananas ripen, they produce increasing amounts of this invisible gas. Ethylene tells the fruit to soften, convert starches into sugars, develop its familiar aroma, and eventually begin aging. It's essentially the banana's built-in timer. What's interesting is that bananas don't just respond to their own ethylene. They also react to ethylene released by nearby fruits. That's why placing bananas next to apples, pears, avocados, or tomatoes often causes them to ripen much faster. The brown color itself comes from a completely different process. Inside banana cells is an enzyme called polyphenol oxidase, or PPO for short. Normally, this enzyme is separated from naturally occurring compounds called phenols. As the banana ripens, its cell walls gradually weaken. If the fruit is bruised, squeezed, or becomes very ripe, those cells break apart. Once that happens, the enzyme mixes with the phenols in the presence of oxygen from the air. This chemical reaction creates brown pigments called melanins, the same family of pigments responsible for color in human skin and hair. So those brown spots aren't dirt or mold. They're simply the visible result of an oxidation reaction happening inside the fruit. Plenty of fruits brown after being cut open, but bananas seem unusually fast. That's because several factors work together. First, bananas naturally produce a lot of ethylene during ripening, speeding up the entire aging process. Second, their soft flesh bruises easily, giving oxygen more opportunities to trigger browning. Third, bananas contain plenty of the phenolic compounds that fuel the reaction. Temperature also plays a major role. Warm environments accelerate ripening because the enzymes involved become more active. That's why bananas left on a kitchen counter during summer can develop brown spots surprisingly quickly. Ironically, putting bananas in the refrigerator creates another problem. The cold damages cells in the peel, causing it to turn dark brown or even black. However, the fruit inside often stays fresh longer because the cold slows the ripening process. The peel may look worse, but the banana itself is usually perfectly edible. Are brown bananas still safe to eat? For the vast majority of cases, yes. Brown spots simply indicate that the banana is becoming riper. As starch continues converting into sugar, the fruit becomes sweeter and softer. Many people actually prefer bananas at this stage because they're ideal for banana bread, pancakes, smoothies, muffins, and milkshakes. The banana only becomes unsafe if you notice signs of spoilage such as mold, leaking liquid, a fermented or sour smell, or extensive decay. Otherwise, a brown banana is generally just an older banana, not a dangerous one. While you can't stop nature entirely, you can definitely slow it down. Keeping bananas in a cool room instead of direct sunlight helps reduce the speed of ripening. Separating individual bananas from the bunch can also help slightly, since the stems release concentrated ethylene gas. Some people wrap the stems with plastic or reusable covers to reduce the gas escaping from that area. The effect isn't dramatic, but it can buy an extra day or two. If your bananas are already perfectly ripe, moving them into the refrigerator is another useful trick. The peel will darken, but the fruit inside stays fresh for several more days. And if you've peeled a banana, a small splash of lemon or lime juice can slow browning because the acid reduces the activity of the browning enzyme. The next time you notice brown spots appearing on a banana, you'll know they're not a sign that something has gone wrong. They're simply evidence that a remarkable series of natural chemical reactions is taking place. Ethylene pushes the fruit to ripen, oxygen triggers enzymatic browning, and time does the rest. It's amazing to think that one of the world's most familiar fruits is constantly changing from the moment it's harvested. Those little brown freckles are really the banana's way of telling its life story, from green and starchy to sweet and ripe and eventually to overripe. So instead of tossing that spotted banana into the trash, you might just have the perfect ingredient waiting for your next smoothie or loaf of banana bread. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.